I'm not playing a wizard, it will be a multi-classing halfcaster. I will send you the character sheet by tomorrow. He sends his character sheet and it's a multi-class sorcerer wizard without the bottom half of the body with robotic spider legs instead. Hey, what's up everybody, Sky Healing Word here. Yeah, I had to roll up a cleric this time. Anyway, how are you guys doing? Having a wonderful day today. Before jumping into the video, I want to quickly kindly ask you if you want to take a second to smash the like button. I appreciate it a lot, so thanks so much if you do that. And with that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. Anon is lawful good. I was just booted from a table. That's not the complete title, but hopefully the complete title isn't very relevant. Was I actually the bad guy here? Get invited to play with some guys from the local town outside my city, some 1st edition Pathfinder. I make a paladin having never played one before. Other players are a rogue, a sorcerer and a fighter. Do a few sessions. Everything goes kind of fine, although the other players are kind of murder hobo. I just play this off in game as my paladin having to put up with this as a test of fate or whatever. Finish a mission for a local town of gnomes where we had to slay some ogres and Mayor promised us a large amount of gold. He then only pays us like a third of this and makes up some BS excuse. Our rogue threatens him with some edgy comments and we all get booted out with no money at all thanks to him. Sorcerer says we should find a way to force them to pay the money. I suggest we take it up with a local temple of Abadar, but this gets waved away because those fancy clerics will just take pity on the gnomes. Question mark? Knowing my character doesn't actually approve of wanton relation, the other guys arson the town in the middle of the night and accidentally start a fire that kills a dozen gnomes and ruins many buildings. My paladin is told all this by our group in the morning, and being lawful good, I tell them that they have to make this right. They refuse and the rogue threatens me. The fighter then suggests we run away and forget everything. The rogue keeps blustering at me for whatever reason. I decide that the just thing to do is to detain the rogue. I draw my sword. The party players start complaining at me IRL, but like, this is what my paladin would do. During the ensuing scuffle, the gnome guards show up and my party is arrested. The rogue ends up dying resisting arrest and the others are now in jail for murder. My paladin is simply under questioning. The rogue player calls me a quote-unquote and storms out of the room. The DM then has a private chat in our Discord in-game and texts me that I probably just shouldn't come back since everyone dislikes me except for him, but he thinks it was kind of obnoxious too. Haven't heard back since. Yeah, I don't know, like, I think this is one of those things that you should, agree on before starting a game. Like, agree on if you're gonna be a murder hobo or not, if you're gonna, alignment stuff, I guess, I don't know. I don't think it was a huge loss not getting to play in that group anymore. I just want to steal a bronze piece from the dragon spear, I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Red Eyes Black Dragon, a ferocious dragon with a deadly attack. Be me. DM for a slightly homebrewed Dragonlance campaign. Be not me. Tinker Gnome, Tink, Kender Kenny, and Ghoulie Dwarf Fern. Due to spacetime these 3 chuckle have replaced the original heroes after they got retconned out of existence. In the middle of the War of the Lands. Yeah. Party had found a cavern deep in a swamp where a black dragon lay sleeping. Naturally, Kenny decides that she just needs to borrow quote-unquote a coin from the said dragon. Homebrew uses bronze, steel and platinum and ignores gold and silver. Are you sure about that? Yes, I'm just gonna take a single bronze. How will it ever know? My trap card. Anyway, the party awakens and faces the wrath of a pissed off black dragon. Naturally, Fern decides to do the war chant of his people and starts shrieking a terrible sound. Natural 20 on intimidation. The dragon is so startled by your battle cry that they've been stunned for a round of combat. Tink decides to bring out the big guns and unveils her new portable quote-unquote Dragonlance, which actually works as advertised. Early on, Tink managed to roll 2 D100s and land on the jackpot twice in a row, breaking the Tinker curse and making her a mad gnome, which led her on a different path than most. The Dragon Spear, trademark pending, lands a mighty blow against the beast, but still only infuriates it rather than injure it. It retaliates by spewing acid everywhere, dealing damage. When it seems like all is lost, Fizzban appeared. See, just like Gandalf in The Hobbit, Fizzban can come and go as he pleases, via a D30. A 25 or higher means he arrives, and anything less and he leaves or doesn't show. Other times he just arrives for plot reasons, and is considered by the party to be a semi-member. He also happens to have a random magic system. Again, D30, random effect attached to each. He rolls a 29, which is a customized spell, Anthropomorphize. Turns an object or entity into a random humanoid species and vice versa. It can only be applied once. You all look on in amazement as the black dragon transforms into a vaguely lizard-like humanoid. Kenny takes a hard look at the dragon man, leans against the cavern wall, and attempts to flirt with the dragon. By the way, she's a bard. Also, not the creepy canon kender who look like younglings, but actual woman. Make her roll for it on a D50. This is an evil incarnate chromatic dragon. There's no way. Natural 50.
What? What the f?
Okay, fine. The dragon pushes her against the wall and they go at it. Fade to black. The drag. Because it's a black dragon. Yeah, okay. Tink looks fun for a moment. Oh my, maybe I should observe for, research. Fern garbles something and drags her away to give Kenny some privacy. Kenny comes back after a while, with the dragon now in spare clothes. Tink notices that the dragon has a leash around its neck. Yo Kenny, did you really use that pact scroll we got from Sigil? Yeah, I'm keeping this one. He's our new bodyguard and butler. Say hello, Carbon. Fizzban awkwardly clears his throat and decides to head out, and it's only then that the party and I realized that he had stayed in the cave and must have seen the whole thing. And so, Fizzban the pervert takes his leave, and the party continues on their quest for coins, booze, and good times. Oh, and to return the gods or whatever. Jesus Christ. Okay. One of my players sent me a cipher between sessions, and it was glorious. I don't know about you, but I always enjoy it when my players call me an evil genius. In our currently running campaign, one of my players is playing a changeling that's part of a secret changeling society. An NPC found out about it and blackmailed him into setting up a meeting with his handler. After the session, the player proposed to me that he'd send me a cipher, and if I could decode it in a week, he'd eat the consequences. If not, he'd get the drop on that NPC. I was 100% game for that. The message was a substitution cipher. Shift the alphabet by a set number of letters in one direction, written in Elvish runes. Crunchy, but I did manage after some trying. Then, I chose to string along said player, telling him how I was struggling and didn't have the time, while setting up the most low-impact way of putting the player's character into checkmate. The meeting was to go down at the reopening of the player's tavern. So, a few days before the opening, a food critic showed up at their place asking to be dined so that he could write a report on their dining experience. All went well, and the critic wrote a report praising the good food and service. At the opening night, the NPC came up to the table where the changeling and his handler were sitting with the editor of the Sharn Gazette and the head of the Teamster Union in Tau. Introduced them and then explained that the three of them usually played cards with the mayor, a chief judge, and the captain of the guard at this time. But when he told them of the amazing food at this restaurant, they just had to come and see for themselves. And then he thanked the editor for sending his food critic before opening, because now the whole restaurant was bursting at the seams with patrons. The moans of realization that the players gave off were music to my ears. He'd come with a backup of 10 changelings to go take out the blackmailing NPC, but with this kind of audience, there was no way they'd pull that off without revealing their organization to all of Sharn. I was called an evil, lying DM that night, and I thoroughly deserved that. Okay. No, okay, this was just great. This entire thing was great. Caster. DM. New campaign starts soon. Prepare some characters, blah blah blah. Player. I already have one. Are you playing another wizard? You've been playing exclusively casters lately. You can use some diversity. I'm not playing a wizard. It will be a multi-classing half-caster. I will send you the character sheet by tomorrow. He sends his character sheet and it's a multi-class sorcerer wizard without the bottom half of the body with robotic spider legs instead. What the f is that, dude? D&D without context. Be me, 19th level barbarian in 5th edition Eberron. Be not me, warlock, rogue and druid. A selection of moments from the final fight. Rogue saying, I would like to hug the stalactite like a koala. Druid asking, so I'm a rock, right? Can I poop on that statue's head? DM. You see the statue start to cast a spell. Warlock. Counterspell, but you have no idea what his... Did I stutter? Rogue asking, when I shoot the teacup of Osmodius, does the lava come out? Barbarian. I would like to intimidate the door. Tell me what's behind you or I'll turn you into firewood. DM rolls intimidation and gets a 25. A nervous wisp of smoke comes out of the keyhole. Okay, a barbarian successfully intimidated the door, I guess. That is actually the highlight of this video, I think. That's amazing. My throat is better, but I still start coughing if I laugh and stuff like that. So yeah, it's what I'm trying to say is that I laughed at this and I had to remove it because I'm coughing, like laughing and coughing. Anyway, solo role-playing is scary and I'm never going to do it again. To put you in context, I was trying this system that I found about solo roleplaying called the Solo Adventurer's Toolbox, and I was using it alongside with AI Dungeon to feel and make it a little more interesting with some details that my smooth brain couldn't make. It was a mistake. Be me, human cleric, searching for jobs on a well-known and popular local tavern called the Sweaty Buttock. It was a dice-generated name, the funniest thing I've ever read. This tavern is run by a warm and welcoming halfling who just led me to some rumors about a job that I may be interested in. Be not me, a 73-year-old local human healer with a barbarian background class. I asked the keeper of the tavern about what happened to this healer. He tells me that he's dead. He also tells me that the healer used to be a popular person. The healer was, in fact, because it was known by the people of the town for being someone frivolous on his disposition, yet barely making ends meet by the end of the month. The healer also had an apprentice who was a promising young human wizard. He was a bit of a loner and was often seen playing with an ancient-looking turtle that belonged to the tavern's owner. I asked how the healer died and why it became such a rumor around this place. The tavern keeper says that the healer died of a terrible disease called syphilis, which apparently came from the bite of a bat. I found it quite strange that the healer was so careless to be beaten, so I start to guess why it became such a rumor among the locals. Then, I ask for the healer's apprentice whereabouts. The tavern keeper then tells me that the apprentice is in the sewers below the city and that I need to go and talk to him, as he'll know more about what happened to his master. I give my thanks to the tavern keeper for the information and ask him that I will rent any available room he will have for tonight. Having paid in advance, I'll head to the city's sewers in search for the healer's apprentice. Be me, surrounded by the stench of raw sewage, as I hear the dripping of water and see a small stream flowing through a pipe. I cover my mouth and nose as I walk through the sewers. As I walk, I ask myself why would the healer's apprentice work in such a place? It doesn't add up. After a while of walking the empty pipe, it begins to narrow until my head starts to rise to the roof. I continue walking until I see an opening on the floor. The drop seems to be around 80 feet and it leads to another room which I guess is part of the sewers. I carefully descend and found myself in a large room with 4 different exits to different parts of the sewers. Suddenly, a monster appears and it's a mastiff. It growls and charges at me, but as I pull out my mace and swing it, the monster stops. We start fighting and I manage to hit it with my mace. It tries to bite in retaliation, but it misses. Then I manage to hit it with the mace again, sending it to the next wall, but before I could finish it off, it flees off to one of the exits. Be me chasing after the beast. As I manage to corner it, but before I could strike it with my mace again, the beast is suddenly scared away by a noise that I hear behind. Another monster appears and it's a zombie. I fight the zombie. The zombie attacks first, slamming himself hard against me and pushing me against the wall. I manage to cast on myself healing word magic, recovering some of my health, and then I hit the zombie with my mace. It almost does no damage to the undead. The battle is intense and the zombie keeps hitting me as I try to dodge the attacks, but some of the hits leave me quite wounded. I manage to escape from the zombie and run after the other one. I find myself at a crossroad and I choose the left passage, which leads me to a set of stairs going down another level of the sewers. The stairs lead me to a passage. On the left wall, there's an iron door which probably led to another segment of the sewers or some maintenance room, but sadly it seems locked. Luckily, I managed to open the lock and enter the room. The room is 50 feet large per 40 feet wide and the only door visible is the one that I came from. In the floor, there are some strange runes and symbols marked on the bricks. I managed to read it and discover that there are some sort of spells or rituals. That probably could explain the reason why there was a zombie in the sewers. As I ponder over the situation, I hear a horrible wail coming from the passage to the stairs, and it sounds like a horrible creature. I decide to investigate. As I approach the stairs, I see it. It appears to be a giant fetus, like a creature from my childhood nightmares. Be me, ending the swing and never solo play again. Alright, on that note, this is it for today's video, so thanks so much for watching, I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to leave a like if you did and subscribe for more if you haven't already. Also, thank you to everyone supporting the channel on Patreon, as well as you to buy treats a lot, so thanks so much for the support. Links below if you want to check them out, as well as links to social media, Discord, and yeah, that's it, thanks for watching, let's see you next time, everybody, bye!